There comes a moment, silent, invisible yet louder than every scream you've ever heard, a moment where the weight of your own heartbeat drowns out the noise of the world, a moment where you stand alone, face to face with the reflection of every dream you've ever dared to chase, and the only question that matters echoes inside your soul. Will you fight for it? Not wish for it? Not whisper about it in the dark when no one's around? Not let the fire flicker and fade just because the world didn't clap for you? No. Will you fight? With trembling hands, with breath that burns your throat, with knees that buckle under the pressure of every doubt that's tried to bury you alive? Will you rise, battered and scarred, and roar back at the sky with teeth clenched and heart wide open? Because the truth they never tell you is that life will break you before it blesses you. It will drag you through glass before it hands you gold. It will demand your tears, your sweat, your silence, your madness, and still ask for more. And it's only when you're standing on the very edge of your own sanity, bleeding ambition and drinking failure like water, that you'll finally understand what it means to fight for it. This isn't about talent. Talent is a myth whispered to the lazy to excuse their silence. This isn't about luck. Luck is the crutch of the coward too afraid to bleed for something real. This is about fight. That primal, unshakable, untouchable force living inside you, the one that wakes you at 3 a.m. with a scream lodged in your throat because your dream is suffocating inside the coffin of your excuses. Every great story you've ever heard, every hero you've ever worshipped, every titan who ever carved their name into the bones of history, none of them were born with a crown. They were built in the mud, in the silence, in the nights where no one watched and no one cared, in the wars they fought when their own mind told them to quit. They fought for it. Fought like dogs, like lunatics, like people possessed by something bigger than themselves. And now the question is, will you? When the storm comes, not if, but when, will you fold like paper or fight like hell? When your hands shake and your voice cracks and your knees feel like strangers beneath you, will you fight for it? When the world laughs at you, mocks you, tells you you're too late, too old, too small, too broken, will you swallow their poison like fuel and set your soul on fire until the only sound they can hear is the thunder of your footsteps running straight through the gates of doubt? This is your life. Not some rehearsal, not some waiting room for permission, not a story you tell yourself while hiding from the truth. This is war. And the enemy isn't out there. It's inside you. It's the voice that says, stay down. The whisper that says, be realistic. The cancer of self-pity wrapping its fingers around your throat. You think you have time? You don't. You think there's a perfect moment coming. There isn't. You think someone's going to save you. No one's coming. This is it. Your heart beating against the ribcage of destiny, your blood screaming to prove that you existed, your soul demanding that you stop apologizing for wanting more. Fight for it. Fight like your future is chained to your spine. Fight like every ancestor who never had a chance is watching you right now. Fight like the dirt you'll be buried in is begging you to leave something worth remembering. Fight like you are both predator and prey, because you are. Fight like your dreams are drowning and your hands are the only ones left to pull them from the abyss. Fight like your name deserves to echo long after your voice goes silent. Fight like you are the storm, not the one running from the rain, but the one dragging the clouds behind you, daring the sky to break. Every excuse you've ever made, every fear you've ever fed, every doubt that's wrapped its arms around you like a lover, they all die here, today, beneath the weight of your decision to either fight for it or lie down and let the grave swallow you whole. This is your line in the sand. This is your defining hour. This is your now. And you either own it or you surrender it. but you do not get both. So what's it going to be? When the darkness rises and the silence stretches and there's no one left to watch, will you still throw punches at the shadows? When the dream feels too big and the heart feels too small and the world laughs in your face, will you scream back with everything you've got left? Will you prove them wrong, not with words, but with war? Will you shatter every chain wrapped around your spirit until your fight becomes your freedom? Or will you let the story end here, with the regret of knowing you could have fought but chose to fold? Not you, not today, not ever. You were born to fight for it. So bleed for it, break for it, burn for it, but never beg for it. This world doesn't owe you a damn thing, but if you're willing to fight like hell, it just might hand you a piece of the sky. So stand up, clench your fists, grit your teeth, and fight for it. Because no one's coming to save you, and the only way out is through the fire you've been running from your whole life. This is your moment, your battlefield, your destiny. Fight for it. And if you think for a second that this fight is supposed to be fair, you've already lost. Because life isn't a sparring match with rules and referees. It's a bare-knuckle street brawl with no timeouts, no mercy, and no sympathy for your excuses. Every time you hesitate, every time you flinch, every time you let comfort lull you into that slow, quiet death, you are handing over your destiny to the very forces that would love nothing more than to see you vanish into obscurity. The universe doesn't reward cowards. It doesn't clap for the cautious. It doesn't stand up for the people who dip their toes into greatness, but refuse to dive headfirst into the deep, cold unknown. No, it crowns the lunatics, the relentless, the unreasonable maniacs who have the audacity to want more in a world that tells them to settle for scraps. You think you can tiptoe your way to glory? You think you can politely knock on the door of destiny and hope it welcomes you inside? No! You kick that damn door off the hinges, you scream your name so loud the sky cracks, and you fight like every second counts, because it does. This isn't about being ready. You'll never be ready. This isn't about feeling motivated. Motivation is a fleeting spark, but fight? Fight is a furnace inside your bones, a roaring wildfire you feed every single time you refuse to quit. And when the doubters circle like vultures waiting for you to fall, you show them teeth, not a smile, but fangs sharpened by every failure you refuse to accept. You fight for it because no one can do this for you. No one can bleed your blood, break your chains, or build your empire with their bare hands. This is your war. Your battle scars will tell your story. Your voice will become the anthem for every soul too afraid to speak their truth. Fight for it, like you are rewriting your DNA with every breath. Fight for it, like you are the glitch in the system, the anomaly that refused to stay quiet, the crack in the dam that let the flood roar through. Fight, like the pain means nothing because the purpose is everything. Fight like every no fuels your next yes. Fight like your bones are carved from comebacks and your veins pump nothing but ambition. Every second you hesitate, someone else is out there taking what should have been yours. Every excuse you make becomes another brick in the wall between you and the life you deserve. Tear it down with your fists, your voice, your vision, whatever it takes. And if the world thinks you're crazy, good. All the legends were. If they laugh, let them choke on their own mediocrity while you turn your battle cries into symphonies. The greatest fight you will ever face is the war within. The battle against the version of you that's too afraid to rise. So fight for it. Fight for your name, your legacy, your wildest dreams. Fight for the people who couldn't fight for themselves. Fight for the kid you used to be who dared to dream before the world taught you to be afraid. Fight for every scar, every tear, every dark night that tried to swallow you whole. And fight like the future is begging you to be brave enough to meet it head on. No retreat, no surrender, no half measures. Fight until your lungs collapse and your soul stands naked before the world, unashamed of its fire. Fight until your heartbeat becomes the drum that shakes the earth beneath your feet. Fight until destiny has no choice but to rewrite itself in your favor. Not because it wanted to, but because you forced its hand with sheer audacity. Fight for it because no one's going to hand you a damn thing. You either snatch it from the jaws of fate or you fade into the graveyard of forgotten names. You want it easy? You were born in the wrong universe. This is the battlefield of the bold, the arena of the unbreakable. And you don't win here by being polite. You win by refusing to die quietly. So rise, warrior. Rise until the stars know your name. Rise until your bones hum with purpose. Rise until every doubt suffocates beneath the weight of your unshakable belief. Fight for it. Because the story isn't over, and you are the author, the hero, the storm. And if they want to stop you, they'll have to kill the fight inside you first. And after all the blood, the sweat, the screaming silence where no one knew your name, after every punch you threw at the walls closing in around you, after the war has settled and the dust has coated your trembling hands, you will stand there, alone in the quiet, staring at the reflection of the person you became because you refused to break. And that moment, that beautiful, sacred, heart-shattering moment will not be filled with applause or fireworks or parades in your honor. No, it will be quiet. Just you and your breath. Just you and the battle scars you carry like medals across your soul. And you will realize the fight was never about the trophy. It was never about validation or approval or proving anyone wrong. The fight was about becoming the kind of soul who refused to die with their music still inside them, becoming the kind of heart that could hold the weight of its own dreams without collapsing, becoming the kind of spirit that could stand beneath a sky heavy with doubt and still find the courage to dance. You will stand there, cracked open by the fight, bathed in the quiet glow of a dawn you built with your own hands. And you will understand, perhaps for the first time, that you were never really fighting for a goal or a title or a finish line. You were fighting to come home to yourself. The self you always knew was there, the self buried beneath fear and silence and smallness. The self who was always waiting, always calling you forward, always whispering, "Fight for me, find me, save me, become me." And on that day, when the fight is over and the world has forgotten the battles you bled through, you will know that you didn't need them to remember, because you will remember. And that is enough. That is everything. So fight for it. Not because the world will clap, but because your soul will finally know what it feels like to be free. And if that isn't worth every drop of blood, every tear, every sleepless night, then nothing ever will be. Fight for it. Because you deserve to meet the warrior you were born to become. And when you do, when you finally do, the fight will no longer be something you endured. It will be the most beautiful love letter you ever wrote to the person you always had the power to be.